The day of the final battle arrived. Over Xarath, the hegemony homeworld, the remaining loyal forces gathered. Grand Marshal Zevkar had called in every ship, creating a defensive line that stretched across the system. But the coalition had gathered an even larger force. 1,000 ships from 15 different species formed the largest fleet in galactic history. At its heart flew Earth vessels, led by the U.S. Retribution. On the bridge, Captain Ethan Moore studied the tactical display. They've concentrated everything they have left to protect their homeworld. Admiral Patricia Clark's hologram nodded. This is it, Captain. Break their line. And the war ends today. Ambassador Kyle Bennett joined them via communication link. Remember, we want surrender, not destruction. The goal is a new galactic order, not revenge. The Coalition fleet approached Xarath space through multiple jump points, appearing simultaneously across the system. The sky above Xarath filled with warships from worlds that once trembled at hegemony power. All ships, commence attack, Admiral Clark ordered. The battle began with a flash of energy weapons. Coalition ships pressed forward, while hegemony vessels fought desperately to protect their home. On the Retribution, Lieutenant Greg Collins reported, their lines are holding in Sectors 2 and 3, but we're breaking through in Sector 1. Captain Moore directed the attack, using tactics developed over months of fighting. Focus fire on their command ships. Without leadership, their formations will collapse. Dr. Allison Wright monitored the destruction fields, making adjustments as the hegemony tried countermeasures. They've learned from previous battles, she warned. Our disruption isn't as effective. The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides fell to enemy fire. The space around Xarath filled with debris and rescue pods. Then something unexpected happened. A message came from Xarath's surface. Not from Grand Marshal Zevkar, but from a different hegemony official. This is High Chancellor Mevler of the Xarathi. The message began. We wish to discuss terms of surrender. It's a trap, Lieutenant Collins warned. Maybe, Moore agreed, but we should investigate. A small delegation was arranged. Captain Moore, Ambassador Bennett, and Dr. Wright would meet with hegemony officials on a neutral space station. Each side brought only one small vessel. Inside the station, they found not only High Chancellor Mevlor, but also several hegemony officials. Grand Marshal Zevkar was noticeably absent. Where is Zevkar? Bennett asked directly. Mevlor's metal feathers shifted in what humans now recognize as embarrassment. The Grand Marshal has been removed from command. His scorched earth policy went against our deepest principles. You're willing to surrender? Moore asked skeptically. We are willing to discuss a new relationship, Mevlor corrected. The hegemony has stood for thousands of years, perhaps not always wisely. Dr. Wright studied the alien carefully. You've known all along that your protected species policy was wrong, haven't you? Mevlor looked at her with eyes that suddenly seemed tired. Many of us did. But systems of power are difficult to change from within. Ambassador Bennett stepped forward. We propose a galactic alliance. Equal representation for all species. No more protection, only partnership. The negotiations lasted days while the fleets held position. Finally, agreement was reached. The hegemony would dissolve. A new galactic alliance would form, with each world having equal voice. 1 month later, representatives from dozens of worlds gathered on Earth, once dismissed as a primitive planet, now the birthplace of a new galactic order. Admiral Clark and Captain Moore stood together, watching ships from across the galaxy arriving for the first Galactic Congress. Hard to believe it all started with them mocking us, Clark said. Moore nodded, until human warships filled the skies. Dr. Wright joined them, pointing to a group of Xarathi officials talking with human scientists. Look at that. Former enemies, now exchanging ideas as equals. In the new Congress Hall, Ambassador Bennett called the historic session to order. The first topic, establishing principles of freedom and mutual respect for all intelligent species. Above Earth, ships from 100 worlds orbited peacefully. Where once the hegemony had brought subjugation, humanity had brought liberation. The stars themselves seemed brighter with the promise of a new beginning. Floating in the darkness of space, Captain Ethan Moore and Lieutenant Greg Collins waited for rescue. Their small maintenance pod had limited air and power. "Someone will find us," Collins said, though his voice betrayed doubt. Moore checked their emergency beacon. If it's still working, they'll pick up the signal. Hours passed. Their oxygen levels dropped. Then, just as hope faded, a light appeared outside their viewport. A ship approached, not human or hegemony, but Syrian design. "Captain Moore." A voice crackled over the comm. "This is Captain Vaney. We've been searching for survivors." The rescue brought cheers throughout the coalition. Captain Moore had become a symbol of the resistance. His survival felt like a good omen. After recovery in a medical facility, Moore received new orders. Admiral Patricia Clark presented him with command of a new flagship. "We're calling her the U.S. Retribution," Clark said. "She's the most advanced vessel we've ever built." The Retribution was impressive, twice the size of the Defiant. With technology from all 8 coalition species, engineer Sam Porter had outdone himself with the design. "She can match 3 hegemony cruisers," Porter said proudly. "And I've added something special: jump gate generators." This new technology, developed from Syrian concepts, allowed ships to create temporary wormholes. The coalition could now move fleets across vast distances in minutes instead of days. Dr. Allison Wright joined Moore on the bridge of the Retribution. "The hegemony doesn't know about our jump technology," she explained. "We can attack their core systems before they can respond." The war had entered a new phase. With the Proxima Centauri shipyard destroyed, the coalition pushed toward hegemony territory. Every month, more planets joined the fight for freedom. The coalition fleet now numbered over 200 ships. Earth vessels formed the backbone, but ships from all member species fought together. The hegemony found itself facing rebellion on multiple fronts. Grand Marshal Zevkar, desperate and angry, made a terrible decision. "If we cannot control these worlds, no one will," he told the Hegemony Council. "Implement the Scorched Earth Protocol." On the planet Nerix, a former protected world that had joined the coalition, the horror began. Hegemony ships bombarded the surface from orbit, targeting cities and farmland alike. Millions died in hours. Captain Moore received the distress call while the Retribution patrolled a nearby system. "Nerix is under attack," the message said. "They're destroying everything." Moore ordered immediate action. "Prepare jump coordinates. All hands to battle stations." The Retribution created a jump gate, a swirling blue portal in space. Moore's ship led a rescue fleet through the gate, appearing directly above Nerix. "Target those bombardment vessels," Moore ordered. "Stop them at all costs." The battle was fierce. The hegemony ships, caught by surprise, fought desperately. The Retribution took heavy damage, but continued fighting. Lieutenant Collins directed the tactical systems. "We've disabled 2 enemy ships, but 3 more are still bombarding the southern continent." Moore made a risky decision. "Take us into the atmosphere. We'll place this ship between the hegemony and the planet's surface if we have to." The massive Retribution descended into Nerix's skies, its shields glowing from the heat of entry. On the ground, the people of Nerix looked up to see something they never expected: a human warship fighting to protect them. The Retribution fired all weapons, disabling the remaining hegemony ships. The bombardment stopped. Nerix was saved, though at great cost. Nearly a third of the planet's population had perished. As rescue teams helped survivors, a Nerixian elder approached Captain Moore. "We heard humans were once mocked by the hegemony," the elder said. "Now your ships fill our skies, not as conquerors, but as liberators." The news of Nerix spread quickly through hegemony space. More worlds secretly contacted the coalition, asking for help. The tide was turning. In his command center, Grand Marshal Zevkar received reports of growing resistance. "Fall back to the core systems," he ordered. "We will make our final stand at Sarath." The path to the hegemony homeworld was now clear. The final battle loomed ahead. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, Earth had changed. The 50 new warships patrolled the solar system. Mining outposts on distant moons provided materials for more ships. Humanity prepared for the coming storm. Ambassador Kyle Bennett sat in an unusual meeting. Around the table were not humans, but representatives from 7 other species. They had traveled in secret to Earth, risking hegemony punishment. "Your victory gave us courage," said Lorax, a blue-skinned being from Centauri. "For generations, the hegemony has called us protected species while treating us as slaves." "We want to fight too," added Vini, a reptilian female from the Sirius system. "But we need help. The hegemony destroyed our technology long ago." Bennett nodded. "Earth will help. Together, we can end hegemony control." Thus, the Free Worlds Coalition was born. Earth shared its technology with the other species. In return, they provided valuable information about hegemony weaknesses. Dr. Allison Wright worked closely with the Centaurian scientists. They combined human innovation with their own ancient knowledge. "This is amazing," she told Captain Ethan Moore as they tested a new weapon system. "The Centaurians understand quantum physics in ways we never imagined." The new weapon could disable the hegemony ships without destroying them. "Less death means less hatred afterward," Lorax explained. "We want freedom, not revenge." Meanwhile, the hegemony had not been idle. Grand Marshal Zevkar led a massive buildup of forces. At Proxima Centauri, they constructed their largest shipyard outside their home system. Admiral Patricia Clark studied the intelligence reports. "They're building a fleet large enough to crush all resistance. We need to strike before they're ready." The Coalition planned a bold attack. 50 Earth ships would join with 30 vessels from other Coalition species. Their target, the Proxima Centauri shipyard. Captain Moore was given command of the primary strike force. The Defiant, now upgraded with Coalition technology, would lead the assault. "This is our chance to show the hegemony that the age of protection is over," Moore told his crew. "Not just for humans, but for all free species." The Coalition fleet jumped into the Proxima Centauri system, surprising the hegemony defenders. The battle began immediately. Enemy ships approaching from all sides, Lieutenant Greg Collins reported from the tactical station. "Deploy in formation Delta," Moore ordered. "Engage disruptors." The Coalition ships moved in perfect coordination. Earth vessels provided cover, while Centaurian ships deployed Wright's new disabling weapon. Sirian vessels, small but incredibly fast, darted between enemy ships, causing confusion. For hours, the battle raged around the massive shipyard. Slowly, the Coalition gained the upper hand. The hegemony had numbers, but the Coalition had surprise and determination. Then disaster struck. A wounded hegemony cruiser rammed the Defiant, tearing through its hull. Emergency force fields activated, but the damage was severe. "Engine core breach in 5 minutes," reported the engineering officer. "We can't stop it." Captain Moore made the hard decision. "All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods." As his crew evacuated, Moore stayed on the bridge, directing the Defiant toward a final target, the shipyard's main power core. If he could hit it, the entire facility would be crippled. Lieutenant Collins refused to leave. With respect, "Sir, you need someone at tactical." Together, they guided the dying ship through enemy fire. The Defiant's weapons struck the power core just as the engine breach reached critical. The explosion destroyed the shipyard's heart. Throughout the system, hegemony ships lost power as the energy grid failed. In his escape pod, Dr. Wright watched with tears as the Defiant exploded. Her sensors showed no escape pods from the bridge section. "They're gone," she whispered. But Lieutenant Collins and Captain Moore were not dead. In the last seconds, they had reached a maintenance pod. Now they drifted, injured but alive, among the battle debris. "Did we win?" Moore asked weakly. Collins checked the emergency scanner. Yes, sir. The shipyard is destroyed. Coalition forces are securing the system. Moore nodded and closed his eyes. Then it was worth it. Across coalition communications, the news spread. Proxima Centauri is free. The shipyard is destroyed. Another victory, but at a heavy price. The battle at Mars began with a flash of light. The 5 human ships seemed tiny against the 30 massive hegemony vessels. But size wasn't everything. Target the command ship, Captain Ethan Moore ordered. All power to forward shields. The U.S. Defiant raced toward the center of the hegemony fleet. Enemy weapons fire lit up space around them, most missing as Dr. Wright's disruption field confused their targeting systems. They still think we're primitives, Moore said. They expect us to run. On the hegemony command ship, Grand Marshal Zev Kar watched in disbelief as the human vessels charged directly at his fleet. Destroy them immediately, he ordered. Show no mercy. 3 hegemony destroyers moved to intercept the Defiant. The human ship rolled to avoid their fire, then launched a spread of missiles. These weren't ordinary weapons. Engineer Porter had designed them to penetrate hegemony shields. The missiles passed through the alien defenses and struck with perfect accuracy. 1 destroyer exploded. Another spun out of control. The 3rd lost power and drifted away. How is this possible? Zev Kar demanded. Their technology is years behind ours. Meanwhile, Admiral Patricia Clark's plan unfolded. While the Defiant drew attention, the other 4 human ships attacked from different angles. Each targeted key hegemony vessels, creating confusion. Lieutenant Greg Collins, now back aboard the Defiant, monitored enemy communications. Their ships are asking for orders, but can't reach the command vessel. Our disruption is working. But the hegemony still had numbers on their side. A group of 5 enemy ships surrounded the human vessel Challenger. Despite fighting bravely, the Challenger took heavy damage. We're losing power, its captain reported. Engine core is critical. Captain Moore wanted to help but couldn't break away from his attack run. He watched helplessly as the Challenger exploded, taking 300 brave men and women with it. Remember them, Moore told his crew, his voice tight with emotion. And make their sacrifice count. The Defiant pressed forward, now within range of Zev Kar's command ship. Dr. Wright activated her special weapon, a focused beam that targeted the exact frequency weakness she had discovered in hegemony technology. The beam hit the command ship. It didn't cause an explosion or visible damage. Instead, all systems on the massive vessel simply shut down. Direct hit, Dr. Wright reported. Their ship is dead in space. Without leadership, the hegemony fleet fell into disarray. Some ships retreated. Others fought on, but couldn't coordinate their attacks. The human vessels pressed their advantage, disabling ship after ship. After 6 hours of battle, 17 hegemony ships had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 13 retreated from Mars orbit, jumping away to safety. Captain Moore slumped in his chair, exhausted but victorious. Send word to Earth. The first battle is ours. The news spread quickly across the solar system and beyond. Humanity had stood against the mighty hegemony and won. The message reached other worlds under hegemony control, sparking hope. Back on Earth, celebrations began. But Admiral Clark knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony controls thousands of worlds, she told the Emergency Council. They will send more ships, bigger fleets. We need to prepare. In the asteroid belt, Engineer Porter revealed his secret. We didn't just build 5 ships, he announced, pressing a button that illuminated a massive hidden dock. We built 50. 50 more warships floated in the asteroid belt, ready for action. Earth had planned well for this moment. President Jordan addressed the planet again. Today we won our first battle for freedom. But the war has just begun. The hegemony underestimated us once. They will not make that mistake again. On his damaged command ship, limping back to hegemony space, Grand Marshal Zev Kar sent an emergency message to the Hegemony Council. The primitives have developed teeth. Request immediate reinforcements. Earth must be contained before other protected worlds follow their example. Across the galaxy, news of the human victory spread like wildfire among subjugated species. For the first time in generations, they dared to hope. The U.S. Defiant moved silently toward the hegemony monitoring station on the moon. 4 other human warships spread out to surround Earth, each targeting hegemony patrol ships. Activate disruption field, Captain Ethan Moore ordered. Dr. Allison Wright pressed a series of commands on her console. A wave of invisible energy pulsed outward from each human ship. Across space, hegemony communication systems suddenly failed. All the hegemony ships are now deaf and blind to each other, Dr. Wright confirmed. The disruption is working perfectly. Captain Moore nodded. Weapons free. Target the moon base first. The Defiant fired. Brilliant blue energy streaked across space and hit the hegemony station. The alien structure shattered like glass, pieces floating off into the vacuum of space. On Earth, Ambassador Bennett watched Grand Marshal Zevkar receive reports of the attack. The alien's metallic feathers stood straight up in shock. Impossible, Zevkar said. Primitives cannot have such weapons. Bennett smiled. Perhaps you shouldn't have underestimated us. In orbit, the battle continued. Hegemony patrol ships, caught by surprise, tried to fight back. But without their communication systems, they couldn't coordinate. One by one, they fell to the human warships. Earth Patrol 6 is moving to intercept, reported Lieutenant Greg Collins from his tactical station on the Defiant. They're charging weapons. Evasive maneuvers, Moore ordered. Fire when ready. The Defiant twisted in space, avoiding enemy fire. Engineer Porter's engines responded instantly to the commands. The human ship fired again, disabling the hegemony vessel without destroying it. Captain, Collins said, that ship is dead in space but intact. We could board it. Moore considered the opportunity. Do it. Take a team and secure any intelligence you can find. Lieutenant Collins led 20 soldiers in spacesuits onto the disabled alien ship. They moved carefully through the strange corridors. The Exarethi crew had sealed themselves in the command center. We're not here to harm you, Collins announced through his suit's translator. Surrender and you will be treated fairly. After tense minutes, the aliens opened the doors. Collins secured the ship and began downloading the hegemony's tactical database. Back on Earth, Admiral Patricia Clark coordinated attacks on all hegemony mining operations. Ground forces surrounded the alien sites. General Frank Harrison led the assault on the Wyoming facility personally. For the people of Earth, he told his soldiers as they moved in. The hegemony workers surrendered quickly when they saw human tanks and aircraft surrounding them. They had believed humans incapable of such military strength. In Washington, President Jordan addressed the world. Today, humanity reclaims its freedom. For 3 years, we endured hegemony rule while preparing in secret. Now we show the galaxy that Earth will not be a protected reserve. We will be respected. Captain Moore received an urgent message from Earth Command. Captain, our long-range sensors detect multiple hegemony ships entering the solar system. It's the 3rd hegemony fleet, at least 30 vessels. They're responding faster than we expected, Moore said. Set course for Mars. We'll intercept them there, away from Earth. The 5 human warships moved to Mars orbit, preparing for the coming battle. The odds seemed impossible. 5 ships against 30. On the Defiance bridge, Dr. Wright analyzed the data from the captured ship. Captain, I found something important. The fleet commander's ship contains their central communication hub. If we can disable that ship specifically, the entire fleet will be in chaos. Moore studied the tactical display. Then that's our target. The hegemony fleet approached Mars, their massive ships dwarfing the human vessels. Grand Marshal Zevkar, now aboard the fleet flagship, sent a message to Earth. Your rebellion is futile. For this insult, your species will be reduced to pre-industrial technology. Surrender now or face extinction. Captain Moore received the message and turned to his crew. Ready all weapons. Enable Engineer Porter's shield modifications. Let's show them what humans can really do. The Defiant accelerated toward the oncoming fleet, its 4 sister ships following in formation. Against the backdrop of Mars, humanity prepared for its first true interstellar battle. 3 years into Earth's protection by the galactic hegemony, the situation reached a breaking point. The hegemony's mining operations had spread to every continent. They took what they wanted without asking. In Wyoming, the largest mining operation expanded without warning. The massive alien machines dug deeper than ever before, breaking into an underground water reservoir. Toxic chemicals from their equipment leaked into the water. Within hours, the poison spread through the local water supply. Nurse Olivia Martinez was working the night shift when the first victims arrived. By morning, the hospital overflowed with sick and dying people. Her parents, brother, and young nephew were among them. Please, she begged the hegemony supervisor, who finally came to inspect the situation. We need medical help. Your chemicals are killing us. The alien looked at her with cold eyes. These deaths are a statistical irrelevance. The extraction will continue. That night, Olivia's entire family died. As she stood outside the hospital, tears streaming down her face, a news crew captured her image. By morning, her grief-stricken face had spread worldwide. She became the human face of hegemony cruelty. In Washington, Ambassador Kyle Bennett called an emergency meeting with Trade Commissioner Uluthnar. "This violation cannot stand," Bennett said firmly. "Your mining operation has killed thousands of our people." Uluthnar's face tentacles twitched with irritation. "Your species reproduces quickly enough to replace such losses. The materials we extract are essential to the hegemony." Bennett stood tall. "We have tried diplomacy. We have tried cooperation. You leave us no choice." "You have no choices beyond what the hegemony allows," Uluthnar replied. After the meeting, Bennett sent an encrypted message to President Jordan. "It's time." Deep in the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Patricia Clark gathered the world's military leaders. On screen, Engineer Sam Porter appeared from his asteroid base. "Show them," Admiral Clark ordered. Porter's camera pulled back to reveal an enormous hangar carved into the asteroid. 5 massive warships gleamed under the lights. Each bore the insignia of the United Earth Defense Force. "The first fleet is ready," Porter said proudly. 5 ships, each with technology that equals or exceeds hegemony standards. Captain Ethan Moore stepped forward. "I will command the flagship, the U.S. Defiant." General Frank Harrison nodded in approval. "Our ground forces are prepared as well. We can take back our planet from their mining operations within 48 hours. Dr. Allison Wright pointed to a complex diagram. "Their communication system has been compromised. When we activate our disruptor, their ships will be isolated from each other." President Jordan looked at each face in turn. "This is humanity's most important moment. If we fail, Earth may not survive the hegemony's retaliation." "We won't fail," Captain Moore said firmly. 2 days later, the 5 ships of Earth's fleet left their asteroid hiding places. They moved silently toward Earth, their advanced engines leaving no heat signature for hegemony sensors to detect. At the United Nations, Ambassador Bennett requested a formal meeting with all hegemony representatives. Grand Marshal Zev Kar arrived, looking bored. "The Earth wishes to express its gratitude for 3 years of hegemony protection," Bennett began, his words broadcast worldwide. Zev Kar nodded, his metal feathers catching the light. "Your gratitude is noted but unnecessary. Protection of primitive species is the hegemony's duty." Bennett smiled thinly. "However, after careful consideration, I have been instructed to deliver this message." He held up a single piece of paper. "Humanity declines your protection." Zev Kar laughed, the translator conveying his amusement. "You cannot decline what is not optional. Your species is not capable of." His words cut off as an aide rushed in, speaking urgently in their language. Zevkar's feathers flattened against his body in what humans now recognized as alarm. Above Earth, invisible to hegemony sensors, Captain Moore sat in the command chair of the U.S. Defiant. All ships in position, his communications officer reported. Moore nodded. Commence Operation Liberation. 6 months passed. Earth seemed to accept its new status as a protected planet. The Galactic Hegemony built a monitoring station on the Moon, a sleek structure that gleamed silver in the sunlight. From there, they watched Earth's communications and movements. On the surface, humans went about their lives. But deep underground, in abandoned mines and secret military bases, humanity prepared. Dr. Allison Wright worked in a hidden lab beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her team analyzed the alien technology she had studied during first contact. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a complex diagram on her computer. "Their quantum communication has a fundamental flaw." Her assistant leaned closer. "What kind of flaw?" "They built their entire system on a frequency pattern that becomes unstable when exposed to a specific radiation. They never discovered this because that radiation doesn't exist naturally in their home systems." Captain Ethan Moore, now working directly with Admiral Patricia Clark of the United Earth Defense Force, received Wright's report with interest. "Can we use this?" Admiral Clark asked, her gray eyes intense. Moore nodded. "If we can disrupt their communications, we gain a major advantage." In Washington, world leaders met secretly to discuss Project Silent Thunder. President Jordan authorized the largest covered operation in human history. "We have 3 years before the hegemony returns for their first official inspection," she told the gathered officials. 3 years to prepare. Far from Earth, in the asteroid belt, mining ships operated as normal. But inside the largest asteroids, massive chambers were being hollowed out. Engineer Sam Porter supervised the construction of what would become humanity's first advanced warships. "The hegemony gave us simple technology they thought was safe," Porter told his team. "They didn't realize we could reverse engineer it and improve upon it." His workers assembled huge engines and weapon systems, built from metals mined from the asteroids themselves. The hegemony didn't monitor these areas closely, considering them too distant and difficult for primitives to utilize effectively. Back on Earth, the situation worsened. Trade Commissioner Ulothnar arrived with a hegemony delegation. "Your planet has interesting mineral resources," he informed Ambassador Bennett. "We will begin extraction operations immediately." "Those areas are populated," Bennett protested. "Millions of people live there." Ulothnar blinked his large oval eyes. "They will relocate. The hegemony requires these materials." Within weeks, hegemony mining ships landed in rural areas across Earth. They brought massive machines that tore into the ground, extracting rare metals and compounds. Local protests were ignored. In Wyoming, a hegemony extraction operation contaminated the groundwater. Thousands became sick. Nurse Olivia Martinez worked tirelessly in the overcrowded hospital. "We don't have enough medicine," she told the hospital director. "These people are dying." When human officials complained to the hegemony, Trade Commissioner Ulothnar dismissed their concerns. "Minor environmental adjustments are expected during resource collection. The statistical loss is acceptable." General Frank Harrison, watching from his underground command center, clenched his fists in anger. "How much longer until we're ready?" he asked over the secure line to Admiral Clark. "Porter has completed 5 ships," she replied. "We need more, but these could strike now if necessary." In the asteroid belt, Porter stood before the completed flagship, nearly a kilometer long, built with enhanced hegemony technology and human innovation. It represented humanity's hope. "What will we call her?" asked one of the engineers. Porter ran his hand along the smooth hull. "The U.S. Defiant." Dr. Wright arrived at the asteroid base to install her communication disruption system. Captain Moore met her at the dock. "Will it work?" he asked. "It will," she said confidently. "They think we're just copying their technology. They don't realize we're improving it." On the Moon, The hegemony observers noted increased mining activity in the asteroid belt, but dismissed it as primitive resource gathering. Their reports to the Galactic hegemony mentioned Earth's compliance and continued technological backwardness. Meanwhile, Ambassador Bennett drafted a message. It would not be sent until the moment was right. Humanity declines your protection. Dr. Allison Wright couldn't believe her ears. After 15 years at SETI, today was the day. A clear, unmistakable pattern. Not random space noise. Not a technical glitch. A message. "Get the director," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Now. Within hours, the facility buzzed with activity. Government officials, military personnel, and scientists crowded the room as the message repeated. Strange clicks, whistles, and tones played through the speakers. "We're translating it," Dr. Wright said, pointing to her computer screen. "The pattern matches mathematical principles. They're teaching us their language." Captain Ethan Moore stood in the back of the room, arms crossed. The president had sent him as the military liaison. He watched Dr. Wright work, impressed by her focus amidst the chaos. 3 days later, they could understand parts of the message. It came from something called the Galactic Hegemony, a group of advanced alien species. They had detected Earth's radio signals and decided to make contact. "They want to meet us," Dr. Wright told the emergency United Nations session. "They're sending representatives." The world prepared. The landing site was built in neutral Switzerland. Military forces stood ready but hidden. No one knew if these aliens came as friends or enemies. Captain Moore led the security team. "Be alert but non-threatening," he told his soldiers. "No sudden movements, no weapons visible unless I give the order." The alien ship arrived 2 weeks later. It descended from the clouds, sleek and silent, glowing with blue light, much smaller than people expected, about the size of a bus. 4 beings emerged. They looked like tall birds with 4 arms and metallic feathers. Their leader wore elaborate silver decorations. "I am Grand Marshal Zevkar of the Xerathi, representatives of the Galactic Hegemony." The translator device spoke in a flat voice. "We greet the primitives of Earth." Ambassador Kyle Bennett stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to Earth and look forward to peaceful relations." The aliens made a sound like laughter. "Peaceful? Yes. We ensure peace across the galaxy by guiding lesser species." Over the next few days, the true nature of the diplomatic mission became clear. The aliens weren't interested in equal relations. They studied humans like scientists study insects. During a tour of the United Nations, Zevkar interrupted the Secretary General's speech. "Your political system is inefficient. 32 of your countries still use fossil fuels. Your biological form requires sleep. So many weaknesses." Ambassador Bennett tried to maintain dignity. "We may not be as advanced, but we have our strengths. Humans are adaptable, creative." Yes, Zevkar said, waving all 4 arms dismissively. "All primitive species say this. The Centaurians claimed the same before we helped them evolve." Dr. Wright worked with the aliens to learn about their technology. They showed her simple devices they considered safe for primitive understanding. "This is basic quantum communication," one alien explained, showing her a small cube. "Even juvenile Xerathi can build these." Dr. Wright nodded politely while taking detailed mental notes. She noticed flaws in their design, inefficiencies they seemed unaware of. Captain Moore and Dr. Wright met secretly one night. "They think we're stupid," Moore said. "They do," Wright agreed. "And that might be our only advantage." The final meeting came a month after first contact. In a special UN session, Grand Marshal Zevkar delivered the hegemony's decision. "Earth will be classified as a Category C protected reserve. You will receive limited technological guidance. Resource extraction will be minimal. Your development will be monitored. This is the hegemony's gift to promising species." Ambassador Bennett stood up. "And if we decline this gift?" The alien's feathers flattened against its body. The alternative is not offered as a choice. Previous species who rejected protection no longer exist to regret their decision. As the aliens departed, Captain Moore watched their ship vanish into the sky. He turned to Dr. Wright. "Did you get what you needed?" She nodded, her eyes hard. "Yes. Now we have work to do."